that type of discourse, then we can create a social harmony which is constructive and respectful and to the benefit of all. And that's really what we have to do at this stage in our society and in our education system. But I'd have to say, we've got an awful long way to go in terms of our education system. One of the things that this parental preference system has just been launched today. And one of the areas, for example, is Castlebar, where there is, it's going to be one of the areas where it's going to be very, very good survey. You have to say what your address is, you have to provide your PPS number, and you have to, that has to be correlated to your receipt of child benefits. So it's fairly robust. But in the Castlebar area, there are 11 schools detailed in this area. Every single one of them is a Catholic school. And that's the problem we have. It's not that we shouldn't have Catholic schools. It's that we shouldn't have a situation where there is nothing but Catholic schools. And that's just one of those areas. The other areas are Trim, Tramore, Arklow, and Whitehall in Dublin. They're the first 5 areas, and then there's 39 other areas coming down later on this year. Anyway, so that's.
So we're going to open it up for some questions and answer, guys. Sarah.
Well,
are they not mentioned, or
no? You see, once you deal with once you deal with those type of issues from the point of view of equality, there isn't a problem. St. Patrick's Day is a national holiday anyway, so it's bank holiday, etc., etc. So that's relatively straightforward. With Christmas, it's a national holiday as well. But I mean, so in the Learn Together curriculum, in the belief system strand, what we try and do in the schools is we try and, over the course of the calendar year, we try and, most people say there's actually more religion talked about in Educate Together schools than in a religious school. Because, for example, the early part of the year, January, February, we deal with the Chinese New Year and all the Chinese or the Asiatic belief systems on Confucianism, Taoism, and I suppose there's quite a bit of humanism associated with that as well. So that's sort of January, February. Then we come into the Christian tradition of Lent and Easter. We sort of miss out, unfortunately, the outside in the middle of the summer because summer holidays, but then we would also move into the autumn, and there's Ramadan, there's Eid, there's Hanukkah, and there's a whole number of solstician celebrations around the turn of the year. I mean, Christmas, well, you know this as well as I do. The timing of Christmas was chosen because it enabled Christianity to assume a whole lot of other older celebratory forms. Am I right? So there's a whole series of solstician solstice-based celebrations, and so you can cover all these festivals, and you integrate them with geography, history, art, music, the whole works, and so that, for example, you would go into an Educate Together school in the autumn and you'd see lots of Islamic symbols, etc., and then you'd go in January, February, you'd see lots of Chinese, or they have Diwali, the Festival of Lights. So there isn't a problem in engaging with this, and in fact, what we call our model is critical multiculturalism, and that is that we create a space where children can ask all the difficult questions, but it's a safe space, and they can really dig into these things. So it's not as if we just sort of step back. It's not like the American or French system, where it's against the law to mention religion, and yet, I mean, in the case of America, you probably have one of the most one of the most societies which most besotted with various religious forms to the level that, you know, a president in the most secular of all states, a president has no chance of getting elected unless he professes a Judeo-Christian belief perspective. Sorry.
Stephen?
That's your last question there. I mean, there was a time when, unfortunately, Kennedy couldn't become president because he was Catholic. Things changed, so maybe in the future he will be an atheist president. But just to be a devil's advocate here, I noticed that your system kind of promotes kind of multiculturalism. Would you go and argue that's kind of indoctrination of multiculturalism? And two, the second question I would ask is that again, devil's advocate here, is that the majority of the country is Christian, majority Catholic. Do you think that current schools naturally reflect that people are naturally Christian as a society?
It's a big question there. Are people naturally Christian? That's going to get into a very very deep discussion of where that particular would go. But no, I mean, there's two questions there. Could there be an indoctrination of multiculturalism? I specifically talked about critical multiculturalism, and it's not the sort of politically correct multiculturalism that, say, for example, operates in the UK. So it is, and so I would think possibly that it's the form, the way in which we operate, is pretty much inimical to any concept of indoctrination. Any school has peer pressure, and there's all those type of pressures. But if you're stepping into a classroom or a learning space and saying people are different, people have different views, and we respect people's views, then I would suggest that is quite a strong antidote to any form of indoctrination. Okay, that's the first point of it. And secondly, yes, for a whole variety of historical reasons, the majority of the people in Ireland self-identify themselves as Christians, either Protestant, Pentecostal nowadays, or Catholic, Protestant or Pentecostal, increasingly these days. That's their right. It's entirely up to, it's a fundamental human right that people can self-identify their belief, perspective, or their religion. Nothing in what I'm saying is aimed at preventing that right. And there is, on the last census, something in the region of 88% of the population identify themselves as Catholics. That doesn't reflect 98% of the schools. And any concept of human rights, any concept of religious rights, must be based on freedom. So, and the problem we have is that in an environment, I'll give you the example of Castlebar, where there is no other choice but a Catholic school in the entire district of Castlebar, then that's,